Our next presenter is currently an administrator at the University of Illinois. She has always had an interest in nonprofits and giving back to the community and wants to make volunteering easy. She is Sarah Zehr.
Thank you. My name is Sarah, and first of all, just for the record, since this is being recorded, this has not been a good hair day for me, so I just wanted to put that on record. What I'd like to talk to you about, though, is volunteering, as was mentioned, and specifically I wanted to talk to you about CUvolunteer.org, which is a website that connects nonprofit organizations in the local community with members of the community who are interested in volunteering. So this is me and my mother and my grandmother. My grandmother was my inspiration for volunteering from the beginning. She moved back to Champaign from Southern Illinois when I was about 5, and until she was 85 years old or so, which was like 25 years, she worked at the she volunteered at the local hospital every week. And so sometimes she took me with her, and that's kind of where I learned to volunteer. And so today, actually, in line with the presentation before this, because I work in the College of Engineering, I thought it might be fun to kind of look at this scientifically. And so I figured we could use the scientific method to look at how we came about with CUvolunteer.org. So, as a good researcher, I have to start with the hypothesis. And my hypothesis is that effectively launching a public initiative requires 3 elements. And then, to be honest with you, in reality, I have to tell you that when I was actually doing this and going through the process, it was by no means scientific. It was entirely flying by the seat of my pants. But I thought we could look at it this way. So the first element that you have to have is a great idea. And ideally, it's wonderful if that idea is something that no one can argue with because it makes it a lot easier for you. And so I found that talking about volunteering and encouraging people to volunteer, nobody really argued with me, so that was one great way to get a lot of support. So where did the idea come from? After I graduated, I moved to Chicago, and I was a consultant, so I traveled a lot, and it was really difficult to volunteer because I didn't have a regular schedule. So I joined an organization called Chicago Cares, and that is an organization where they put together volunteer projects, and you can just pick what works with your schedule. So that was great. I could volunteer whenever I wanted. So when I moved back to Champaign about 7 years ago, I found I had about 2 weeks before I started work, and I was like, well, I should go volunteer. I'll find some volunteer opportunities. And I wasn't able to get anything set up in those 2 weeks because, I didn't hear back from somebody or I left a voicemail or whatever. And I'm thinking, this is way, way, way too hard. And people are not going to volunteer unless it's easy. So how can we make it easy? So that's where the idea came from. And that brings us to element number 2, which is a great team. And I have to be, okay, great. I was like, okay. So, one of the things that was kind of funny with CUvolunteer.org is that it was brought about by a number of volunteers. So all these people that were willing to help out to make this happen. So this is our very serious core team. Many of the members are out in the audience today, so let's give them a quick hand. But these people all brought about their talents and their enthusiasm and their caring. This was not a short process, so that was great. So the team is very, very important. The other thing that's really important is having the right partners. The partners can help you open doors. They can potentially help you to get in touch with the right people and to bring about the right results. So the first partner that was really key in this was the University of Illinois. And this all started as a senior design project in computer science. So there were 4 students who who actually wrote the code for a website that connected volunteers and nonprofit organizations. And then the Office of Public Engagement and the Office of Math, Science, and Technology Education and the Office of Volunteer Programs. There were many parts of the U of I who were involved. But all these people brought resources together to make this happen. And then the other critical partner in this was the United Way. And the United Way offered support. They helped us figure out, what we needed to do. They helped us get in touch with the agencies. And the other thing is kind of going back to that whole, you want to have a good idea that people can't argue with. Well, nobody wants to say no to the United Way either. So if you have the right partners, that can also, really help the process. So another partner that helped us out a lot was a corporate partner, which was Busey. And one thing that I have to say about Busey is that they really, really, really believed this, and they embraced it from the beginning. They encouraged their employees to take part in it. They helped with the launch party. They were really involved from the very beginning, and that was something that was very key as well. So the day that we launched the website was July 19th, which also happened to be my birthday, which was kind of fun. So I started the day on the news with Sue Gray from the United Way and Ann Dill, and that was kind of exciting. And then I went to the United Way, and we were going to announce CU Volunteer to all the agencies. And by the time I got to the United Way, I had about 30 or 40 messages wishing me happy birthday and saying, hey, great article in the paper. And that was great and all, but then they brought the paper in and I had no idea it was going to be on the front page. But you don't know how many people actually do see the paper and mention it when you're on the front page of the paper. That day I also was called by Channel 3 to be on the evening news, and then when I got home there was a message on my answering machine from a radio station, so I felt kind of like a celebrity, which was kind of fun for a day. A lot of people were telling me, hey, great job, you're done, blah, blah, blah. And it was funny because that's when I realized that, darn it, 3 elements aren't quite enough. We weren't quite there yet. Actually, the launch, with the Petchakacha theme, was just the beginning. So I realized that a 4th element is needed, and that is ongoing maintenance and support and things like that. And so that was one thing that we had to continue. And the other thing, there's actually a 5th element, sorry. The other thing is passion. And you have to have a lot of that. You have to have it the entire time, because otherwise you will definitely give up. And also, the other reason that passion is so helpful is it helps you to really get other people excited about it. And that was one thing that a lot of people told me is, I'm really glad I got involved in this, and I was really excited about it because you were. So that's the other thing. So my conclusion, being a good researcher and everything, my conclusion is that you actually have to have 5 elements in order to effectively launch a public initiative. And that's that great idea that nobody can argue with, the great team, all the right partners, and then, of course, the ongoing maintenance and the passion. And those are all things that you have to have, or else, it just may not happen. So now this slide is actually a picture of an ad that's on an MTD bus somewhere around. I haven't seen it yet, but it should be out there. And this is announcing a campaign that the United Way is starting, that they're working with C-U Volunteer for National Education Week. And they're encouraging people to be readers, tutors, or mentors. And if you see the bus, wave, say hi. But what I will say is that I encourage you, after seeing this, that you might go visit cuvolunteer.org and see something that might interest you, and maybe even become a reader, tutor, or mentor during National Education Week, which is November 13th and 19th. Thank you very much.